everyone, and welcome to Small Town Big Business, a podcast about doing big business in small towns. I'm your co-host for today, Deb Barnett, and I'm also the Executive Director for Southern Illinois Now, where we focus on economic development in the 17 southernmost counties in Illinois.
And I'm Russ Williams. I'm Director of EThOs, Small Business Incubator, co-working spaces, training and development here at the Citadel Building on Tower Square Plaza in Marion, Illinois. We want to thank you for joining us, and we want to thank our sponsors. Couldn't make this possible with 100 plus episodes without our sponsors. So thanks to Arcadia Wealth Group, Banterra Bank, Black Diamond Harley Davidson and RV, Fowler Heating and Cooling, Southern Illinois Now, the Swinford Media Group, Union Street Arts, and of course the Watermark Auto Group Foundation. Well, good. Well, welcome back to Small Town Big Business, and we have a special guest today.
We do.
Joining us in the room is Teresa Katubig. She's founder and CEO of HireLevel.
Well, thank you. Yes, these fancy titles.
Yeah.
It's,
I'm glad I got it out.
I always laugh because everybody's like, "Oh, who's your assistant?" I'm like, "What's that?"
There you go.
I don't have assistants. I just have a team that works hard.
Yeah. Well, Teresa, first tell us, for those that don't know anything about HireLevel, what does HireLevel do?
So HireLevel is a workforce management company. We like to call, we do recruitment to retirement. Anything people related, we handle. We hire for many companies all over the nation, and then we also process payroll. And we can get into what payroll entails these days because it's way more than just a paycheck. So, so that's kind of what HireLevel does. We are in 10 locations, and then we have downsized a little bit just because of office space is expensive, but that is kind of what we do.
How long has it been around?
So we've been in business since 1995. This is our 30th anniversary.
Wow, congratulations.
So we will be having if you know anything about Teresa or HireLevel, we like to celebrate. So we will be having a big celebration here in August. And so look for your invites, right?
Yeah.
30 years.
That is awesome.
So you mentioned 30 years, 10 locations, but I know you started right here in Southern Illinois. Can you take us back, and then we'll dive into like all the things, the payroll, all the things you do, and all the great tips I know you're going to have for listeners. But take us back to the beginning, how it got started. Tell us that story.
So I had worked for McDonald's since I was 16 years old, and went back to college in 95.
We don't have to
about
name
90.
numbers.
No, somewhere in there. Anyway, so I went back to college. I was like 25 at that point, and I went back to college because I love McDonald's. I graduated from Hamburger University. I was a store manager for them, but realized that job was going to be 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. And I kind of got real tired of the phone call at 2 a.m. to say, "How do you like the grill?" So I went back to school, became a CPA. I graduated from SIU Carbondale.
Go Dogs, go Salukis.
Exactly. Great. Again, actually, I went to Johnny Logan first, 2-year degree there, went to SIU, graduated, and started doing accounting work. And I went to work for an accounting firm and almost put my eyeballs out, because I was I'm a fast food drive-through girl, right? And I'm sitting in a room by myself, looking at receipts, thinking, what have I done? I then luckily started getting some calls and some just people knowing people and what I had done, saying, "Hey, can you help me just kind of get my bookkeeping in order?" So I did consulting before consulting in accounting was cool, frankly, right? No accounting firms had consulting divisions back in the early 90s. I mean, if they did, I think it was the big ones, and nobody really local. And so I started doing that. And so I started doing some work for a temp service that when I got in there, I'm doing 941s, W-2, and all of a sudden I realized, oh no, she's in big trouble. Because even though she had done paid people and all the things, she had not been paying her payroll taxes.
Oh, wow.
And she had not been paying her work comp. And basically the trust fund amounts, which is what we call them, basically money that does not belong to me, belongs to the government or someone else, she had been spending needlessly on herself. And so I kind of went to her and said, listen, you're going to go to jail. And we need to fix this. And so she actually agreed to that. We are making payments, all the things. Well, then all of a sudden one day she walks in and says, I don't like doing this anymore and you got to go. And so she quits paying the IRS and I'm now looking for a job.
Oh my goodness.
So, but I had brought in a lot of clients at that point, and so I actually went down the road years ago across from the Dairy Queen in Johnson City. There used to be an office building. And I luckily rented from them. Had it, I always say a credit card and a prayer, but as I sit here, I think to myself, how did I pay that deposit? And even maybe I didn't. Maybe he just said, I'll let you go. And so I started there. I bought some office furniture from a gentleman. The furniture was in Chicago. We rented a truck. We drive up there, get it. I think we paid $500. We still have some of that furniture to this day.
Really?
It's the greatest, heaviest oak furniture you could ever imagine. And any of you that know office furniture know it's worth nothing.
It's a bear to move.
And it's awful.
It's
right?
going to outlast all of
things.
us.
So that's how we got started. And I used to drive around on Fridays and pick up checks before noon and make sure they were in the bank by whatever our cutoffs were back in 95, 1 o'clock. And I used to actually have a little book. So that everybody that's, a millennial or whatever now doesn't have any idea what I'm talking about. And they would write it down back to West Frank. I was working with Banterra. And they would write my deposit in the book. So that, for a little while, that's what happened. So then I just started growing. I got involved in the community. Did all the chambers. The craziest part is we used to just call off the classified ads. And then I had a sign that, I had bought for whatever, $200. I think I actually may have rented it with the letters. And at the four-way stop in Johnson City, I would, if I had a new job, that's where it would go.
That's where you would post it.
And we would put it out there. And that's how we started.
Wow.
And fast forward to today, nobody even knows what a classified ad is, much less a newspaper, for goodness sakes. So,
a lot has changed.
Yeah, a lot has changed.
So a crossroads in saying you don't have a job anymore and going down the street to say, well, I'll create my own, that in and of itself was courageous, I think, but you have... as we were talking earlier, to this entrepreneurial mindset. So that maybe wasn't a big step for you, or was it?
I think it's one of those, and so many people have asked me that question, and I look back, and I think I was just, I want to say too young to be scared, but I think it was just a matter of either I do this, or I have to go back to a CPA firm, which was frankly terrifying, because yeah, you're right. I mean, back to what is that drive-through? That sounds so funny to compare it to that. But yet the drive-through is, you're always busy. And that was the part I loved about it.
Yeah.
And so I wanted something busy, changing, learning, always growing. And so, I just winged it. I mean, for lack of a better way to put it, things just came into place, and I just took advantage, or I asked. And I think that's the other thing people don't do, is they don't ask for help, or they don't ask for, hey, can you help me with this specific item, or can you train me on these things? And I think that is what I was never scared to do, and just say, listen, I need some help. So
we can't know everything about everything, right? So asking for help. You make it sound easy, but fast forward 30 years, and now you have 10 locations across the country. I don't know how many employees and how many companies you serve, but talk a little bit about that. I know it's hard to kind of sum that up, those 30 years, but maybe even like starting here in Southern Illinois and then deciding to branch out to your first expansion.
Right. So a couple of things in there. So I have two separate businesses. I have an employment service and then the payroll company. And two different things happen. So the first one is my husband and I own with a business partner storage units. Mm-hmm. And so we were working on expanding our storage unit business. And we had gone up to, we had bought some storage units in Edwardsville, Illinois. And when we were up there, I noticed there's all these warehouses up there. And I'm like, oh, well, that looks like a great opportunity for our employment service. Mm-hmm. And my niece at that time had just graduated from college and was looking for a job. And so I'm like, well, this might work out well. So get a hold of her. Hey, are you interested? Yeah, sounds great. I can come learn the business. We get up there. Well, doing business in Southern Illinois and doing business in St. Louis, which is basically, because Edwardsville, for those that don't know, it is about a 15-minute trip from downtown St. Louis. And many different things happen. So I think that is the biggest jumping off spot for me or for us as we grew the business, is figuring out how do you do business locally? Because here, I don't want to say it's pretty easy, but I had manpower as basically a competitor, and then really nobody else. And so that was in '95. There's a couple more now in the market. But I think the thing for us was you could go speak to people, right? In St. Louis, Edwards, a lot of those markets, there's not that hometown feel, right? There's not that, hey, I'm going to come see you because I'm right down the road. I'm here to help. So that was a real eye opener for us. Is here we grew, we could get in with people, we knew things. Or, Circuit City was here. That again was built on a personal relationship. Just those things because you had that ability. Yeah. But you sat by these guys at the chamber meetings. That's just not the case in those bigger areas. So that was a real change for us, and we had to really learn how to market, how to do that, and how to build a brand. So, and at that time, it was extra help. So, we were extra help for the first 23 years of the business, and then we rebranded 7 years ago. So.
And then how did payroll services come around?
So we were very seasonal also in the beginning. Did a lot of farm service work, a lot of things. Just basically March through October were terrific. And then we got really hungry in the winter. So as a CPA, I thought, okay, let's try to even out this business. And so we went out, found software that could run payroll for various companies, and it was designed to do that. So once again, I just jump in with both feet and say, oh, this sounds like a great idea, and do it. That's how I got into that business. There is that business, and it is two separate beasts, to put it mildly. One is very much HR related. The other one is very payroll tax related. It has grown into a lot more HR in that space, but that's because the software has now become a single sign-on with everything under one umbrella. So.
And how many employees at the 10 different locations? Or
so we after 2020, we were up to almost over 100 employees, and as we all seen, just through technology. And then also just due to the environment. 2020, 2021, even into 2022 is very much third-party logistics, right? Everybody's getting everything delivered, and that was a big piece of our business.
Right.
That has since dropped dramatically, and that's just across the board. A lot of the third-party logistics companies have all been they're scrambling. I mean, they're trying to figure out what else to do, because what companies like, let's just talk about Target. We did things for like White House Black Market, just different things like different 3PLs that had those as customers. Now they don't have those as customers, because what has happened is they're basically have developed software. So if the product is sitting in the store, they will pick it off the shelf or off the rack, stick it in a envelope or a box, put a label on it, and ship it right out of the store.
Yeah.
And that really eliminates a lot of costs for them. And, for us as consumers, that's terrific.
Yeah.
But us as a vendor wasn't quite as good. So we have had to do a little bit of reset on what does that business look like. So we're down, round circle, we're down about 60 employees now. From when we were at our peak, we're still doing terrific. It's just a matter of you've got to zig and zag with whatever else is happening.
Right. But I commented during our pre-show chat,
Yeah.
if that's what you call it,
Yeah.
that you've hired really good people. And that's key to success, isn't it?
Yeah, I always laugh because I'll be at an event and somebody will talk about their employees. And one of my biggest pet peeves is I don't call my employees. They are my team. Everybody, we are on a team together, and they always laugh because people say, because when I introduce them, I'll go, I work with Erin, right? I work with Jessica, and they're like, okay, she's my boss. But because I do so much traveling and I do so many different things, and that is the reason why, is because I have that flexibility to do that, because it is a team. They are not like my employees is how I look at that comment. And it's like nails on a chalkboard for me. So I really, want to thank them every day, and I do thank them regularly of the reason I can do what I want to do is because of these people that have committed and have the buy-in. But
And some have stayed a long time.
a long time. But, I have turnover. I mean, and why do I have turnover? Well, I think a lot of it is the work ethic that is expected at our work location. We don't jack around on the internet, right? You don't jack around on your phones. We put in a good 8 hours a day, and we expect great performance. And if you cannot provide that, or you want to jack around on your phone all day or give me a bunch of excuses, this is not a good place to work for you.
Yeah.
But you set those high standards up front.
Oh,
They know that.
absolutely.
It seems like you have a great workplace culture. And in the work that you do in helping other companies, what advice would you give to companies, small or large, in this day and age with so many workforce changes about recruiting and retaining, right, their employees? Because I'm sure you see that turnover too, even in the work that you do.
Absolutely. I think the first thing, and you just alluded to that, we set our standard high. We do not apologize for it, and we don't make excuses, right? We do that. Right? Say, this is who we are. This is our culture. We have what we call a culture of accountability, and we have the set of books, and I'd love to if we get a sec, I'll pull up the authors of these books, but and we teach that to our team. Everybody reads these books. Everybody knows these books. So when we talk about things, we talk about right above the line or below the line, or just did you train on these things? What all the different things. This is language that everyone understands. And I think that would be the first thing that I would say, right? Do not apologize for saying that's not okay here. Do not apologize for saying pajama pants are not allowed. I can't even, some of the stuff you see, you're just like, what in the world are you doing? Does it take longer to recruit? Yes, it does. Does it take, do we have turnover? Yes, it does. Yes, we do. We just had a girl we hired. She started Monday, she's gone. She, on Wednesday, and this is a 25-year-old, which, this is what we're all up against. So,
Sure.
Who basically said, well, I didn't realize I was going to have to work this hard.
Wow.
Yeah.
25 years old. You're just like, okay, I don't know about you, but I was working hard at 16.
Yeah.
So, and I never stopped. So I think the thing for all the business owners out there, and even as a startup, right? working hard is what it takes to be successful.
Yeah. But I know from your team members that it's not just a paycheck or a job for them, is that you've invested in them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Learning, training, development is what you've offered, which is something that if they decide to pick up and go someplace else, they take with them.
Yep.
It's valuable.
Yeah, I mean, number one, we have always invested in our team. I mean, that the most important thing, we basically pay. If people want raises with our organization, they have to do those things. You know, I'm not a person that, right, on the January 1, we say, what was inflation this year? No, sorry. I don't know what to tell you. If you want to make more money, then you will do these additional things, whether it be, right, get your, we have different certificates within the staffing industry, we have different certificates within the payroll industry. You need to do these. And if you don't, then you're going to still make the same, we had set our minimum wage years ago between 20 and now we're up to almost $25 an hour to start.
Wow.
But you have to,
Of
right?
course.
I mean, and number one, I'll be real honest, and you alluded to this. If you do not pay your team, you will not retain your team. I will not allow myself to travel and do all the things and then try to pay somebody $16 an hour. It's just ridiculous. It looks terrible. And to be real honest, I had that happen to me years and years ago when I first started out with one of my employers. And the one thing that I said to myself, this will never happen to anyone that works with me. We also try to make sure, right, that insurance is paid for, that you have the flexibility. I just had a girl, right, that's in a really bad car accident, been with me for a long time. I'm not taking her days away from her, right? I'm not going to ding her for these things. You know, we just had someone whose dad died, same exact situation. I'm not going to make her blow up her PTO for the year when she has this one-time event. You know, I think the thing, every employer out there, you need to take a step back. You need to do it on a case-by-case basis. You absolutely have the flexibility to do that. And if people don't understand, well, then you just say, too bad.
Yeah.
I get to make these decisions because I own this company, and I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to do what I would hope people would do for me if I was on that team.
You talked about work hard and to achieve success. Again, we had a great pre-show chat, so I'll refer to it a couple of times.
Yep, that's extra if people want to listen.
Exactly, right. So Teresa, I was mentioning just in preparing for today, it talks about with HireLevel, you intertwine your personal compassion for people and motto, remember your community, with your professional goals and vision for your company. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, remember your community. What does that mean?
Well, one of our big things, and you'll see it, it's actually on our 30-year logo. It's basically says changing lives. And I am a firm believer in a hand up, not a handout. A good job is life changing, and I think too few people realize, right? Staying, taking care of your work. You know, I started at McDonald's at 16 years old, and but I worked hard, and I was pregnant at 17, had a baby, continued to work at McDonald's. I was promoted to a swing manager, then I was promoted to an assistant manager, went all the way through the McDonald's training. This is no cost to me, and I'm making seriously $3.50 an hour. I know people are like, what in the world? So minimum wage was $3.35,
Right.
and you know, I had gotten a raise to $3.50. So, but the point was the knowledge I was gaining, and it was all due to hard work. I'm 18 years old, and I'm going to Hamburger University up in Schaumburg. So I go there, I do that for 2 weeks, come back. I'm now running stores for people, making a whopping, I think, $300 a week or something, you know, something just craziness. But the point would be all due to hard work. I could have stayed with that organization and continued to grow and learn. And that's why I loved it. So that's when we were talking about the fast food piece of it. I think the thing, So changing lives. What do we do? One of my other big programs is for the justice involved. And that has been a one for me for, probably 25, almost since the day I started in the industry. I never could understand. So when we first started, there was still a box, right? Do you have a felony?
So these are people who were formerly incarcerated.
Right. Or not even that.
Or just
that is
charged.
And I'm going to, the crazy part of you saying that, that's what everyone believes.
Okay.
Right? You can get a felony and never, ever serve one day in any prison.
Just checking or formally checking that box.
Yes.
Stirs up a lot of connotations on what that means.
No one would hire you.
Yeah.
I mean, here, Southern Illinois, not to pick on Southern Illinois right now, but truly, if that box was checked in that first 10 years, no one would hire you. Now, I don't know about you, but back to our community, is there really any good coming out of anyone that has a felony? And guys, this can come from, I just want to back to, I sold drugs. I pled it down, right? I may have been in the local jail for 30 days.
Sure.
I get it. I plead down and they say, you're not going to go to prison, but we're going to give you a felony. And guess what everybody does, right? They just sign off and they move on.
Right.
Not realizing they now have made their work search a million times harder. So as we have progressed over time, and back to changing lives, the thought that I can't get a job, I can't support my family,
right,
or I can go work food service, right? And we all know that's not, unless you become a manager or unless you're not making a lot of money. You're kind of dependent on, unfortunately, the system to get you through. So that was always one of my really big is one of our really big goals, is to educate our clients on the importance of hiring justice-involved individuals and looking at that as a case-by-case basis. Now, as we all live and do business in the state of Illinois, or some of us do, it's hard, right, already. They don't make it so easy for us. But the one thing they have done right is this exact thing. They were on the forefront of banning the box. They are on the forefront of now it is illegal to say if you have these things. We have to look at, and our clients have to look at, anyone that has any kind of felony, misdemeanor. We used to have people say no misdemeanors. It is the craziest thing.
Right.
I look back and now they have to look at it. And we have gotten even, I had a client and it was really disturbing. So the client it's a Fortune 500, to be real honest. We were hiring for another Fortune 500 company. And so they come in, and this person had worked for them for about 7 months. We do a lot of temp to hire. They're looking to hire this person. They had been at work every day on time, great employee, all the things, and they come back and they say, oh, why did you send them to us? There's a felony on their background. And we're like, no, there's not. Like, we know these things. And they send us the background. And 15 years, it might have been more than that, this person had been, had a felony for check kiting or writing bad checks. Wouldn't hire her. I was flabbergasted. We talked to anybody that would listen at this organization, saying, number one, it's illegal what you're doing. Frankly, they should have done something about it, but that's a different discussion. Begged, pleaded, all the things. The thought that we have Fortune 500 companies out there that are looking back, first of all, it's illegal to look back more than 7. So we don't even run anything longer than 7 because we don't want anybody to see something from 15 years ago. So it's just some of that stuff that I really, and my team, we really work hard at being that advocate.
Yeah.
And years ago, we tried to really be the advocate, but now The nice thing is clients are back to recruitment, how hard it is to recruit, how hard it is to find people, especially when you want people to stay. And when you help someone like that and get them that job and get them the ability to actually earn a living and support their family, it changes their life.
Right. Because it's not just a job, as you mentioned. It is their livelihood. It's supporting their family. It is potentially changing generations.
Yes.
Right? I mean, what an
Yes.
amazing, bigger picture purpose behind the work that you all do every day.
And that's what we really try to help, and the people that work with us, they understand that. And one of our other big things, and we talk about culture, is clear is kind. And it's going to sound like a silly story, but it's kind of just shows who we are. So yesterday, this car pulls up, and one of my employees was walking in the... Actually, they hadn't seen it. I take this back. They came in the building, and they're like, oh, my gosh. I just had to pick up all this garbage out of the parking lot. Somebody had basically cleaned their car out. And we've all seen that and thought, who does this?
Right.
Right? So I said, well, I was just out there less than an hour ago and it wasn't there. Go look at the cameras. So we look at the cameras and we can tell exactly who did it. And this person had come in looking for a job. Well, they're not getting a job with us. And they will be told, you're not getting a job with us.
And here's why.
And here's exactly why. Because to us, you do things like that, what kind of employee will you be for my clients?
Sure.
And I know what our clients expect. And our clients expect a high level, higher level, whatever, person. And don't get me wrong. I mean, we have challenges. But that's, we want to give people the benefit of the doubt. We want them to show up. We want them to do those things. But our team has been trained that if someone is playing games or doing, they miss, first week, they miss a day, they got some, frankly, crappy excuse. They are to tell them, you continue with this, you will lose your job. The expectation is you are to be at work every day, frankly, come hell or high water. I mean, I don't know about you, but I haven't missed many days.
Because that's not just a reflection on that person, that employee or that team member.
Yeah.
It's a reflection on you as a company.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. And I think it goes back to customer service and the rest of it. You got to provide.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's share some of your wisdom with those entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs. So first say something encouraging, but then I'll second reality.
Yeah.
Can you speak to both?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, if you've got that fire in your belly, go for it. But don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I need this specific thing. Not just generalities, but what specific thing can you use help with? And that would be the one thing. The other thing is, as much as I have a flexible schedule now, it took me 30 years to get that. Understand that you need to punch the clock. When you start this thing, you have to punch the clock. You got to get up. You have to motivate yourself, whether that come through, one of my big, and he's a little controversial, but I love Andrew Frisella because he's got like a CEO type thing. And this guy, he started First Form in St. Louis. Fabulous, wonderful organization that was super high standards. And again, if you don't like cussing and you don't like that, it's probably not the podcast to watch or listen to. But overall, his CEO program, I think, just has a lot of just oomph. And his entire point is no one is going to give you excellence other than yourself. And some of that starts even with personal excellence. And, those of you that know me or don't know me, I basically am at the gym every day, at least 5 days a week.
I think that's where I met you. I think it was
working out, right?
The Gold's Gym. Back
Yeah.
in the Gold's Gym.
Oh, yeah. I'm still at Legacy, still there. But I think the thing is, you have to, not only with business excellence, you have to have personal excellence. You can't be late to things. You have to take it upon yourself to be your own worst critic and your own biggest cheerleader.
And the discipline.
Oh,
The day in and
All
day
discipline.
out. Discipline.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's excellent. Well, you had some early challenges in life, and I think that certainly has paid off because you've learned that discipline, right? It's so important for you.
I know we want to get to the books that you mentioned earlier. I think those are really important. You mentioned your team reading some of these books, and I think that's important too for listeners to know that you don't have to have this formal, expensive training program. It really is developing people in the way and with the philosophies of your company that you want them to have. So.
Absolutely. And how we started, to your point, right? I'm as frugal as they come. Man, I mean, consultants can be expensive. I mean, and when you're starting out, that's really hard. I mean, you just don't have the money to do that. So we started, there's a book called Lunch, Meat, and Life Lessons, and it was actually written by Mary Lucas, who was working in a temp service. So she started with Manpower, and then she has moved on to other things. But she wrote that book. So we started with that one because it's a nice, cheap book, $15. Oh, we can afford that. And so we started with that. And then as our organization continued to grow, spread out, as you talk about other locations, now again, we have remote workers. How do you keep people on the same page? How do you keep people talking the same language? This is how we have done it. So the 3 books, the first one is The Oz Principle, and it is about personal accountability. The second one is How Did That Happen? And the fun part of that book, that's my favorite by far. It is, in the end, the real title of that book is How Did I Let That Happen?
Interesting.
And then the third one is Change the Culture, Change the Game.
I need to write these down.
Yeah,
Can you write
they're
those down?
really terrific. And the one I really referred to, How Did I Let That Happen, was almost, I want to say life changing, but definitely business changing for me, because I had a real habit. I started this thing. I mean, you think 30's old? No, sorry. You're just trying to get through the day. Yeah, you're just getting started. And so as I got, into, late 30s, early 40s, and we're really expanding now, right? We're buying other businesses. I'm into the St. Louis market where I had bought some other payroll companies. So, I'm into Alabama at that point. I have a location in Lexington, Kentucky.
Wow.
Just kind of, you're kind of everywhere. We dabble. We had an office in Paducah. We had an office in Mount Vernon. We've had, ups, downs, open, close, all the things. And as I'm reading that book and the whole thing with How Did I Let That Happen, really, every time I started to point fingers, for lack of a better way to put it, right? Because it was never necessarily my fault. They just didn't listen. They just didn't, the more I read that, I really wish I had read it, right, in the first couple of years. Because it was always so much more of a self-reflection of, did I train? And when we talk about training, the other thing that book really emphasizes is, how many times does it take for someone to really hear what you're saying and get the training? I think it's like 7 to 9.
Wow.
So you really lose sight of when you generally threw something out there in a passing conversation of why didn't they get it?
Exactly.
Now all of a sudden I'm thinking to myself and actually asking my management team, how did we let that happen? Let's not look at this person, right? Let's look at what led up to the situation that now everybody's freaking out over. Why weren't we freaking out over it in the beginning? Did we lay out real expectations? And that's what this book really talks about, right?
That's
good.
Yeah.
Writing them down, laying them out. Is there an SOP or a standard operating procedure that they can read? So this morning on this training, I just have to giggle because one of my management team gets on and she's showing everybody this thing in this software, which was awesome. But she whips through this sucker in less than a minute. And I mean, this is a big process that she's talking about. And so she gets it done, and one of the girls hits the thing, which I was so thankful for. And she says, Beth, thank you for showing us that. But I was trying to take notes, so I chime in, and I said, Mackenzie, thank you for talking. I said, but I was getting ready to say to all of you, it's okay if you didn't get it. Because I didn't get it either.
Yeah.
But now we all know it's available. Let's keep the whole point. So I think that's where, even back to startups, and what word of advice would I give?
Yeah.
Always say to yourself, how did I let that happen?
Yeah.
And, it is so important to always do that self-reflection, because the other thing I like to tell my team is nobody comes to work to do a bad job today.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
No one gets up and thinks, I'm going to go suck it up. Right? And that is how, right? I mean, I've had managers, they're so terrible. And I'm like, do you really think they showed up to say, I'm going to be terrible?
Right.
Yeah.
No. How did we let that happen? What can we do about it?
Yeah.
Right.
Now, it may be they're not a good fit for this job.
Right.
We have absolutely offered buyouts. Do you want to leave? I'm going to give you that out now. If this job is not for you, go.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Because I think so many people think, right, you once you hire them, they should stay forever.
Yeah.
Guys, that is not happening.
Right. That's so good.
You've got great experts on your team. In fact, I wanted to mention that EThOs, we do training and development for small businesses and nonprofits, and your team came in and helped us with a workshop on employee handbooks, and that was Summer, and she did a great job. And we're planning on doing some more teamwork together to offer those workshops, and I appreciate that very much.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Are we ready for my question that I love so much?
Sure.
And I hope in some way you can tie in some of our pre-show chat and your recent, we've talked a lot about, you mentioned travel a few times, so I hope we can spin that into this question in some way, because it was powerful.
Okay.
So my question is, Teresa, what is your why?
Wow, that's a question for me that in the beginning was, support my family. And, 30 years, the why has absolutely changed. But yet, now I look at it and I think my why is just getting to enjoy life in all the ways, whether it be with my family, whether it be in my work when I do my work, and travel and just see the world. How do I bring it full circle? Because for those of you who are listening, I turned 60 this year. So I'm really, thank you, at a point where it's time to say, I've worked, and I have to giggle. My mom, I said something about, hey, I'm really going to try to work a little less. And, well, what? And I said, and I did the math. I said, I've worked for 44 years. What in the world? Why would I want to keep doing, right? I mean, we're all on the downhill slide now. I mean, I'd love to believe I'm going to make it till 104, but let's be realistic. If I'm doing it, I want it to be not feeling like crap.
And knowing you, like you're still going to work hard.
Yeah.
That's just part of your DNA, but it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you want me to share my story from before.
Yes, I would, please.
Okay, so as we've traveled over the last few years, so I had the privilege of going to Italy and then to the Amalfi Coast, which if you're listening and you have not been, please put that on your bucket list and then make it happen. So we went, and I'm there with my husband and my daughter and a friend of ours, a dear family friend, and we're there and we rent a boat, and Amalfi sits on the Mediterranean in Italy, and it is as incredible as the pictures. Sometimes you go to these places and it's not. This place absolutely is. And we get out on this boat, and the gentleman taking us was just doing an incredible job of showing us the area. And he pulls into a cave on the water, and he starts playing Bocelli. And it's one of these things where you just, I looked around, and the water is just sparkling on the cave walls, and Bocelli is in my ears, and I'm going to cry, back to my crying, right, with my family, and I'm in Italy, right? This is a person who lived in a mobile home in Makanda when she started. So where are we at now? And I literally am bawling like a baby, like dry heaving type crying. And my daughter and my husband are both like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And I said, actually, I'm better than okay.
Wow.
I've made it. I actually can look around and think, life is great. It's not just good. It's all those things that I have worked 44 years for.
Yes.
And it's here.
It's here.
Awesome.
So that's my story. That's your goal, that you have your Amalfi moment, that you can truly cry standing whatever. I don't care if it's on the edge of the Grand Canyon or in Amalfi, whatever that looks like for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Get there because it's worth it.
What is your Amalfi moment?
Yeah, what is
That's
your
what
Amalfi
listeners
moment?
can say.
Exactly. And, I think there's so many
powerful.
other fabulous moments that can be out there. But, yeah, live it.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, this has been a wonderful interview.
Thank you.
We've been trying to get you in the chair for
know.
a while now.
You're so busy. You have such a busy schedule.
Back to my travel.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
We're
but thank,
so great.
but thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
taking the
Yeah.
time.
Oh, you
Teresa
guys have been
Katubig.
great.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Where can we find you? Where can folks find HireLevel, the services that you offer?
Well, the great part is you should be able to find us online, no problem at all. I have 2 full-time marketing people that I sure hope we pop up number 1 when you type that in. But yeah, we're here in Marion. We also have offices, again, St. Louis, Edwardsville, Lexington, Alabama, Montgomery area, all over the place. So I should say Sarasota, Florida, right? Since I'm there half my time. But just give us a call, find us online. You can definitely contact us through the website. We do everything, recruitment to retirement. And if you hate payroll and you hate payroll taxes or hiring, we can help you with all of those.
That's great.
And it's Hire, Hire,
Yes.
level.
Yes, thank
Very
you for
good.
sharing that.
Yes.
Yep. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
you.
thanks,
Appreciate
Teresa.
it. Well, we want to thank everyone for watching and listening to the Small Town Big Business podcast. And we want to thank our sponsors for really caring about small businesses and entrepreneurs and supporting us. And thanks again to Arcadia Wealth Group, Banterra Bank, Black Diamond Harley Davidson and RV, Fowler Heating and Cooling, Southern Illinois Now, the Swinford Media Group, Union Street Arts, and the WAG Foundation, the Watermark Auto Group Foundation.
Very good. And again, you can find us on your favorite podcast platform. Over 100 episodes now. And don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. We love sharing this information and all of these great stories, resources, tips, all the things with everyone. So again, I'm Deb Barnett with Southern Illinois Now. You can find us at southernillinoisnow.org.
And I'm Russell Williams, Director of EThOs at the Citadel. Please go to our website, ethosmarion.org, and join as a community member, which is free, but you'll get updates about what we do, small business incubation, training and development for small business and nonprofit owners, and also the co-working spaces. Thanks for joining us.
Yep. Have a great day.